So much for giving us this opportunity to witness this conversation.
Yeah.
So is it all right for me to share just a few questions for us to see, how this experience was for you? So I'm really curious to know how was this experience for you as you
Oh, I think we lost her for the time being. She might be coming back. So I think I follow as a chain of thought. How is this experience like for you? Okay, go ahead.
Well, okay. The first question has been thrown, so let me answer that. It's a good experience because it gives you opportunity to talk. You have so many things in you. You can talk to friends who are not professionals to open your mind for you to understand a few things. So this has given me opportunity. For the past 4 months, 120 days, this has been a good one for me to open up and speak about this.
So this was an opportunity for you to voice what has been going on a lot in your mind.
Definitely right.
So my curiosity is around what makes this conversation, this transformative coaching conversation, different for you than any other kind of conversation.
So decisions were not made from decisions and directions were not made from Ben. He led me to that point for me to make the decisions, compared to other conversations where people who have been very judgmental, people would straight off offer directions and advice directly on what to do or take sides and say do this and do that. But this conversation is like, you are the master of yourself. You need to make that decision, but it helps you to just think through it one by one as I speak. There's that subtle voice pricking me and saying that you need to do it this way, you need to say it this way, you need to say it this way. Or some of the questions, the metaphor really worked on me and said, you have no time. It's either you're going or you're off the train, which that's my key takeout tonight.
So would it be fair to say that through this exploration, it's given you an opportunity to kind of look at what you're going through in a different angle, in different ways?
Yes, perfectly.
Yeah.
Perfectly, yeah.
All right. And, you mentioned that, certain things about this conversation, really got you thinking. And I'm very curious to know, is there something in particular that stood out for you?
What stood out for me is, like I said to myself, Saplin, said, you've wasted so much time going through this, emotions. You should make a decision as a man. You need to be very firm and be able to make a decision than just, keep it lingering on and thinking through it and thinking through it and thinking through it. So make a firm decision and move on. That's what I said to myself, that I should have made that decision by the 31st of December, 2021.
So it seems like something has just kind of surfaced itself for you, that, you have some kind of sense of clarity that is like, yeah, I'm ready to jump into it.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Wonderful. So, if you, I just, one curiosity is, if you were to share with another person, if they ask you, oh, what is that, a coaching conversation? I'm really curious, what would you say is a coaching conversation?
I'll say it's a coaching conversation is where the coach helps you, to think through. I don't want to use the coaching terms, but think through your actions and then help you to explore opportunities or answers yourself. Not a mentor session where I would tell you that do it this way. If I'd met a mentor, he would have gone and say, I think you need to stay in your organization and work there because you're growing in an organization. Or another mentor would have said, it's time for you to stop, pursue your own private business, which is also thriving very well. So this is, he brings you into a level where you think through the actions yourself, and then you make decisions yourself. So that's how I see the coaching conversation.
And what makes that important in particular for, let's say, where you are right now? What makes this kind of space important for you, where you can think through?
I think it brings ownership. It brings ownership. If you ask me, it's not a decision that was cooked for me. It's a decision that I cooked myself. So when I'm going in, I go with ownership. I don't go looking back and said, Ben said I should do this. If it doesn't work, I'm coming to Ben. This is myself, my own decision, so I have the entire ownership to make sure I pursue it.
Oh, thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you. I'd like to thank, and on behalf of everyone who is here, for your openness and for allowing us to witness this conversation and to learn from it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Asda. Thank you so much.
So what I would love to ask everyone kindly, if you would like to turn on your cameras as well, is we're very curious to know what stood out for you in this conversation. So if you would take a look into the chat box, I'm just going to see if I can share with you the link. And we're very curious to know what stood out for you in this session. So can everybody see the link? Yes? Okay,
Yes.
great. Fantastic. Well, I hope it's going to open up on the right page. Feel free to let me know. And let's have a look. No entries yet. Waiting. Oh, I'm not able to share screen. Then do I have the
Yes, you have.
okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. It says that it will stop the music though. That's a shame.
Yep, sure, no problem. Let me just stop the music first.
Okay.
Okay, here you go.
Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, thank you for your sharing. So I'm just gonna read through them. Honest, candid conversation. Coach recognized the opportunity versus a challenge or a problem. The energy shift. Asking the client if a new metaphor can be used. The coach respecting the client's wisdom. Sharpening the awareness of the client for deciding by his heart. Wonderful. Let's see if any more sharings are going to come. The coach kept the client a choice all the way through. Great. Reframing the perspective. Free, candid, and yet focused conversation. Subtly changing the client's perspective. Ownership of the decision. Identifying that both decisions lie in different places, heart and head. There is no presence of judgment, personal bias by the coach. The metaphor of the train journey was really very interesting. The coach asking for permission to share his thoughts as a friend. Very unique way of observing the client. The two metaphors and the coach allowing the client to pause and reflect on them to see if there's a difference. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing with us your experience and what stood out for you. So now we have a few moments where we can have the privilege to have the coach walk us through a little bit what was going on for him. What was the thought process that he was going through? So I would be very curious to know from you, Ben, what is something unique about this session that you would want us as students to, kind of note and know that you are paying attention to here in this conversation?
Mhm. Yeah, how should I say it? We learn something in order to transcend what we have learned. That's what I could say. What we usually say in our advanced second level training is that you learn the rules so that you can break the rules. Okay, you master it so well that it's not that we are breaking the rules, but we transcend. That means we go beyond. Not say we go beyond, but we are still sticking to the framework, but we are not rigid with the framework. We understand the principles of the framework, and we allowed the principles to have a place in the conversations. Like, for example, the focus of the conversation. What are we focusing on here? It was very clear that the client wants to talk about the decision. So if you're using if we are using a conventional way of coaching, we will be focusing on what is the decision, what should be the decision. That is to use intellect to we are relying on intellect to get the insight, which unfortunately is not the case here for our client, right? So from a transformational framework, we want to look at the process of thinking. That means, how is the client thinking around the decision at this point of time? And what makes today's conversation very unique is that we have a very highly capable intellect, sound mind client, where the process of making a decision itself is not polluted. Very clean mind, it's either this or that, and very clear in the way of moving forward. And yet, the client is not moving forward. So the way of the client's thinking is nothing wrong, but there is something that's not supposed to be there, but it's there. Okay. I'm not sure how best I can explain that. What is not supposed to be there, but was there, and what was not supposed to be there, but there isn't very useful for the client. And that requires a very unique way of looking at how the client forms the logic that causes the client to be stuck in his decision making. That means there is a fundamental flaw in the system of the logic, which lies in the metaphor of a crossroad. Now, let me just be very candid. If the client has not used crossroad, I will be crying. Because everything sounds so clean, It's like, okay, I need to build a business, but given the opportunity, looks good. Okay, then I was fine. So what's the problem here? Okay. Sound my bad. Well, then I'm not sure how best this coaching conversation can serve the client, unless the client is able to review or share concern about something that we can kind of like explore further, right? But given the case that we have today, it looks like the flaw. I won't want to say flaw as in necessary negative things, all right? But it's just like a perfect, beautiful picture happen to just have a stain around it that kind of like makes it a little bit unsightly. And I think what I'm appreciating about the transformational coaching approach is that it's not an attempt to address the stain. but it's to bring that stain out to the client's conscious knowing and ask the clients to reflect around it or to think around the way the system is right now operating, which makes this transformational coaching conversation a very high thinking capacity. Okay, because we are thinking around the thinking that caused the client's thinking to be stuck. Now, that's where the power of the transformational approach lies in, or the beauty of it. Because once the system configuration has been upgraded, have you ever upgraded your system? I mean, have you ever tried to do your word processing via your typewriter and then somebody give you a computer to work on it? Right. So when the system itself is upgraded, the capacity, the output is going to be very different. Okay. So if the system itself is not adjusted, nothing will make any difference on the external part of it. Right? So that's where the metaphor of the crossroad becomes a very critical exploration because it symbolizes left or right, which means something that is only one choice and there is only one right answer there, and I need to make a choice. So that's where the two flaw is. I don't have a choice and that's only one right choice, but it doesn't fit nicely into the way the client is looking at his situation. Okay, so when I was checking in with the client, it sounds like you have things very much in control. Is that a fair observation? And that's what the client was like laughing and saying, oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's where it suggests that the metaphor of the crossroad is inappropriate. Okay, because the metaphor of the crossroad means that it's only one choice. Whereas in the client's way of responding back, it felt that he has more than one choice. Okay. It's just that in his mind, the metaphor of that crossroad causes the stuckness, not allowing the client to see beyond or transcend the fact that he has a choice here and things is not finite. Right? Because looking at the crossroad, it means you either go to the left or the right. So it's a very finite perspective. Okay, one place and full stop. So it becomes problematic for human being. It's okay if it's a system, a non-living thing, right? I turn left, you have to go left. You can't go right. Right? For non-living things, it works perfectly fine to have a very two-dimensional or linear way, right? However, for a human experience, that is problematic because it does not really contain or allow us to fully describe what life is. Life is not one point in time. It's many points in time, and each point itself opens out to new possibility. So if we can see life as temporary versus permanent, it makes things so much easier. I think. Okay. Now think about it, right? You meet a girl and then what happens? Okay. Like, you happen to go to 7-Eleven and you met a girl and what happened? I mean, you can't predict. I mean, I don't know. All right. So that is what the nature of life is that there's a lot of possibility unfolding for us if we can allow ourselves to enjoy that moment, okay, and appreciate what that moment means to me and what resonates most for me in that moment. And it's clear that for my client today, that this moment in time of that stopover, it felt like the heart needs to make the decision rather than the intellectual. Well, is that right or wrong? Well, is the lady that you married the right lady, or is the husband that you married, is that the right one? It's not the question about is this the right one, right? It's never that question, right or wrong. Okay, it's the questions of what really felt. What is it that is resonating in the very core of your being? Understanding that intellectual decisions are good, but it can only, it has a certain limitation, okay, as to how much intellect, can serve us. And I think there are times where we have to be more sound rather than correct. So the soundness of the mind requires resonant. That's why we call sound mind, for good reason. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Sound mind for good reason, right? If no resonance, then why do we call a sound mind? Might as well just say a concrete mind. Let your concrete mind make the decision, huh? Like, doesn't resonate. See, so a sound mind, deplete resonant. To resonate means there must be rhythm. Do your brain feel rhythm or do your heart feel rhythm? You see what I mean? So there was some truth here when we learn to tap into what our heart is telling us. It's not that we're impulsive or we're naive, because it's very clear that the client has a very strong, clear mind to be able to discern things and put things in proper perspective and weigh things out. So that's the strength that the clients have. And I think what this conversation offers to the client is allows the client to tap into another source in which he can use that to support in this entire decision-making process, to be more sound, in a sense, more resonant, with both the mind and the heart agreeing with one another. Now that we are able to adjust the flow of converting the crossroad into a train ride, and it's just a stopover, but the destiny is still, the train is still coming back. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So once that has been resolved, if we can see how quickly the client's mind and heart, resonate and agree with one another, that this is how I need to make a sound decision. So I think this is something very unique, even for myself, having these conversations. So henceforth, the conventional, okay, what's the focus today? Okay, what is it that you need to resolve? What wasn't put in place, but nevertheless, the principle of understanding the focus as in what is it that is the issue here for the client that we want to talk about. The only difference is that it uses more of the coach observations of the system that is at work, and to make that the focus of the conversation. And it also incorporates the aspect of checking in with the client to say, hey, is that observation or is that assessment of how I'm looking at things, is that how it matches with you? So in that sense, it's like guiding the clients, but yet at the same time embracing ICF approach of full partnership with the clients, where the client has an equal right to say something about the process.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I think what comes up for me, if I can use a metaphor to kind of see how I see what you're saying. And so it seemed as if that the client was, coming in saying this is a decision, and maybe conventionally we would actually say, okay, he's ready to go. What is the decision? However, I kind of find the train ride, I want to use it from a different perspective. It seemed like the coach and client went on the train ride. They kind of got out and they looked at it, what is this train? Where are we at? Oh, what's the stop? And I really felt how the time slowed down, and it was like looking at everything from different dimensions. And putting one foot back on the train. No, let's stay here a little. Look here, what is
Yeah.
this? And you could really see how, let's check in here, let's check in
Yeah.
here.
Yes.
And it seemed like something then just came up for the client, where
Yeah.
he's able to say, okay, there's, and it seemed what he has been muddling with for a while was
Yeah.
now all of a sudden surfacing for him that, okay, I think this is it. Yeah, okay, I'm ready. So that was really interesting that it's as if the coach is walking the client through, how are you looking and seeing this?
Yeah.
How are you thinking around this
Yes.
client?
True.
And
True.
really supporting the client to not just be in that situation, but to really see themselves also
True.
from that perspective. Thank you for sharing that. So if there is one thing, Ben, that you would like to, share with us, as, I would say, take this as a souvenir from this session as a principle, what would you share with us?
Wow, I think really one of the things I like to leave behind is let us make an effort to make our conversation or our coaching conversation sounds more like a conversation. Not like we're trying to squeeze something out from our clients. Okay. It makes our clients feel so worried. Trust me, if I'm a client and if I'm going to answer all those questions, it's like, wow, I'm already suffering trying to make sense, with things, and here am I trying to answer those questions. It's like, for me, I'm not sure, if I'm going to be a client, I'm not really sure I'm going to like it. But I certainly feel more comfortable if that is still a process, there's still a framework, there's still principles, there's still competency that we are familiar with. But yet the flavor of it is really a heart-to-heart talk that is more trained, and so I felt that today conversation is one, could be one an example of a coaching conversation that feels like a friend-to-friend talk, bearing out our soul and say, no, I disagree with you. I don't think so.
Yet, I just want to highlight that there is something about it that, it's like, sometimes an artwork looks so simple and you think, oh, I could do that. I could make, however, so I want to say that it sounds like a conversation and it certainly feels like it, yet the process is very firm as well.
Yeah.
So there is that
True.
process. It's not like we just have a normal, regular conversation that we have with a friend.
Yeah.
So that gives us an outlook
Yeah.
to say, as we are first starting very mechanically. And I remember being in the ACC and thinking, really, this rigid, it has to be like this. I found it very hard to contain myself and only use the handles and only, okay, but now I see, well, yeah, that's called disciplining. And then disciplining so that I know what is the basis so that later I can translate it to something that looks
True.
eventually like this.
So the one of the famous quote is mastery is mastering the fundamental. And that's why in the core training, we share the movie of Jackie Chan and Xiao Zhui, jacket on, jacket off, jacket on, jacket off. Sounds very boring, isn't it? Jacket on, jacket off. It's kind of like, how am I going to learn Kung Fu with jacket on, jacket off, right? But I think the whole idea is not about jacket on, jacket off. It's the attitude that we have towards what we are doing. First, number one, coaching conversation has to be something that you perceive as important enough for you to decide that I think I need to do more than just having 60 hours. Now, honestly speaking, professional coaching is about working with human beings, unleashing their potential, and you are saying 60 hours? Okay, you're just saying 60 hours can do that kind of job? Hey, just, psychotherapy, it's not even a professional coach went through at least minimum 200 hours of training, and they have to undergo strict supervision before they're allowed to practice their psychotherapy. that is so much they value about the work with another human being. And here we are, 60 hours, and you want to unleash potential and inspire positive change. Well, maybe for some of us, we are just wanting it to be a complimentary. That is fine. But if you are those who are desiring to really touch life, if that is your passion, to inspire life and work deeply with your clients and see transformation, then you need to have a bigger appetite. Recognizing that this 60 hours is just not even a starter. Okay. Okay. It's just there for you to, wow, get your appetite, open up. With like the aroma for you to, wow, this smells nice. Okay. It's not even tasting the food yet. Okay. It's just a starter to let you know that there is so much more awaiting for you. Because 60 hours is very little for us to even consider how we're going to make a shift. And that's where the problem is. Jacket on, jacket off, too boring. Can't give me the punch. Right? Because the work that we're doing is really challenging. And the amount of time that we're going to spend in the first level is not enough. It's enough for you to complement your existing skill set of, as a HR or as a manager, to do, kind of like, a little bit more reflective thinking around how they look at the issue. But when you're talking about shifting the entire perspective or shifting the entire system, wow, you need to have a huge appetite to continue to, build those strong muscles. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, honoring. It's also about honoring this craft, right?
Yeah.
And recognizing that. So there's the passion part of it,
Yeah.
and there's also the practice part of it, and then there's also this aspect of getting the feedback for your practice. It's not only practicing, and then I'm practicing in the wrong way for many, many hours, then I have to go back and unlearn. But being in a space where we can see how it's done as an observer and also getting feedback ourselves. So yeah, I just want to say that, what I'm honoring a lot and what I'm appreciating is that there were times where I thought, am I really going to get it? Am I going to make that breakthrough happen for me in those different milestones, like being able to speak concisely. I speak a lot, as you can see, but when I'm coaching, I don't sound the same, right? Then I've moved along. I have,
Yes,
and I just want
to... I can confirm.
So if I can do that shift, anyone can, but it requires a lot of intentionality and diligence.
No,
and it's
let me
like
just reframe that. It just requires a little bit more love, that's all.
Yeah, yes. And in Persian, we say, and this is what I say to our Persian students, that I started and not only with one heart, but with 100 hearts, I fell in love. So
just add a little bit more love to the work that you're doing, and you find that the hard work is just nothing. Did moms complain about waking up in the middle of the night to make meals and change diapers and all this stuff? Right, nobody complains about that, right? I mean, of course you complain, but you're still doing it. You're not only doing it, but you're doing it with lots of attention. I mean, I'm just not sure why but it's just because of love, full stop. Got it? Yeah, it's just a matter of, we're just not giving it enough love.
But I just want to give credit to all of you here today, showing that you are making space for it, and you're all giving it a lot of love, that in this time of hour, you've stayed with us this long, and you're joining us again and again. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for being here, which makes the learning
I'm
sessions.
so sorry. We might not be opening up the other room since the room today is a little bit smaller crowd. So maybe we can have Magda and Maribel and some
Yeah.
of them to contribute a little bit. And then after that, we can open up to our friends, to
Okay.
to have their questions answered. Would that be a good approach?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Very good
Magda.
idea. Thank you. Thank you so much. So let me tell you that when I saw the client today, hi, Stephen, because I know him from core training and I know his themes. And I say, wow, it will be a huge learning today. And I was so curious how Ben will make him move in reflective thinking in order to see the situation. And it was so brilliant from the very beginning when you change the metaphor. And oh my God, every time I'm so amazed about how, Ben, you said earlier that sometimes you are wondering, let's see how we land. And I have in the room here, because, 2 weeks ago, I have the Romanian track, and we have one lady here, Valentina. Thank you so much for coming. And I asked her in the chat how it was for you, because we have just one supervised practical coaching from the moment. And she said, wow, really, this structure, this ACC, it's make a lot of sense. Yes, indeed, we can see. And I want to contribute also this, because I speak also Azadeh a lot, but I will say this and I finish, I promise, about how the coach today tried to make the client understand about the concern that it is, it should not be there. And, he was laughing and said, it's a decision, but, it's like this kind of partnership when you are one with your client. So indeed needs a lot of love and a lot of care. And thank you so much, Ben. And thank you all for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Magda. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Maribel, would you share with us as well?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for this very enriching learning. Actually, I was connecting everything, from the class last night. I mean, last night for me. And then all this experience, it's so wonderful, and then I saw the difference between the recordings and how Ben was doing it artfully. It's then I saw what the difference was. And I understood what cognitive empathy means in the way that Ben, did the process, and especially the shift from the crossroad to the train. Everything is so rich, I'm just overflowing with this excitement because I'm connecting everything in my mind right now. As Asade was saying, it will take a long time for me. But okay, here's the last point. My main takeaway for probably being a client, putting myself as a client in this situation, is that when Ben said, so how's that for you, looking at life as one moment in time, I said, oh my God, that is magic, because it's connecting the head and the heart and, and the train and everything together. Ben, I don't know how you do it, but my goodness, it's really so amazing that, I just want to jump and I want to get there right now. Okay, anyway, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, I think the secret is try to do coaching at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, your mind is not so strong, so your logic doesn't take over, so it's much easier to compute things. Nobody do mathematics at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So that's why. No, I'm just joking.
Yes, this I really don't know how you, that's an art for itself, I think, to be coaching at this time of hour. So I want to also invite others to share, and we also have Francis, Manju, Aviola. So please share with us, what are you taking away? What would you like to share with us?
Can go.
Hello.
Okay, Manju.
I can wait if you want, Abiola. Okay. I want to start off by picking one thing that I heard, which is kind of great to put it out here. Today's coach said something along the lines of, I can't remember the exact words, but this might be an assumption. And I'm just checking if there is any truth in that. Yeah. And this is what coaching is about, that true partnership that ICF says, you know, that fully embrace and be comfortable not knowing and be aware that the client is the one who's expert in the content, right? That is something that stood out for me because, you know, I noticed that some of us are students here who'll be just finishing core training and you're like, whoa. And this is me personally. When I was at this stage, it was all about doing. Oh, what can I do by listening to this coach? And we need to shift away from the doing and into the being space. And this really kind of highlighted that what does this embracing the coaching mindset really mean? And that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. What a beautiful trinket to take, right? Thank you so much. Aviola, would you like to share?
Yes, I would. Hello, everybody. And I think I just want to leverage on what Manju just said. This conversation takes me really to the core level, and it tells me that the ACC conversation really works, because when you find a client still in a transactional mode, not really so sure about the transaction and wants to achieve a goal, but the coach is able to, find a space to really look at the core of where it is the real issue, or what is it that is talking to the hearts of the client. And the coach was able to bring that conversation to that heightened level to say, it's not about getting that goal, it's about your relationship with that goal. And I think it really nailed it. It reinforced the fundamental principles at the core, and just tells me that it works all the time. You just need to be in partnership with the client.
That is so beautiful. So what I really, I feel so grateful every time in these learning sessions that we can, it's as if you bring your little basket and you collect everyone's trinkets and it just widens your perspective. So thank you for sharing, Aviola and Manju and Magda and Maribel. And also the others, we'd love to invite you to share with us, what are you taking away? And if you even have questions you'd like to ask the coach, feel free to do so. I'm just gonna ask Ben if that's okay. That's the Persian way of asking. I didn't ask actually. So are we ready to ask some questions? Okay, great. So Nish, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I wanted to say that it almost looked like there are two friends sitting in a bar and having a conversation. It was really amazing. And I think the crossroad that the client was talking about, it looked like they were at two different places within him. One was in the head and other was in the heart. And I think so beautifully, Ben just bridged that and brought synchronicity to both the things and made him look at it from that perspective. I think that was just brilliant. And I really don't know how he does it so easily, because every time I'm trying to coach, I'm just thinking, am I in the structure or not? And I'm just going bonkers. And I think it was just amazing. And I can't thank you enough, Ben, for, letting me learn so much from you, and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much. I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thanks.
Thank you, Nish. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Thank you. That's lovely. Valentina.
Yes. Hello, everyone. So I want to introduce myself. As Magda said, I was just in the latest group, I think, now. So for me, everything is new. And I am amazed, and thank you for all your sharings, because I already learned and agree with almost everything you have said. I was like, yes, I've noticed that too. What stood out for me was the coach asking permission. Can I tell you this as a friend, share my experience. If I would be your friend, this is what I would tell you. And this means a lot, because it shows exactly you can have this heart-to-heart connection with someone, not treat them as a client. That's not what we want, and or what I want personally. That's what attracts me most. And also for the coach, just taking the time and closing his eyes to be also to it seems to me after the client sharing, okay, this is where I am, just closing the eyes and taking a moment and let everything in your body. So actually not closing the mind, basically. That's how I see it, and see what do I have to reflect back to you. So that's thank you.
Can we all give Valentina an amazing servant coach? Wow, I'm already excited about this coach. And I think this is so amazing. Part of the learning is what we practice, but such a great part of learning is what we notice. And this is why I love the CPD so much, is that we have the opportunity to see a senior coach, a master coach, who is, so in tune with the process and the framework, and yet flexible, and adapting and listening and customizing to this client. And it allows us to pay attention to so many things that we, as if we're in the coach's role or if we're in a client role, we cannot pay attention to. But such a big, such a small thing, but yet big thing. You notice the eyes closed, and what is that about that creates for the coach? What does that create for the client? At that moment, I was thinking, I saw that too, and I was thinking, wow, the client was about to answer, but he didn't. When he saw the closed eyes, also he paused right before he shot out the answer. It seemed so such small moments can mean so much. Thank you for sharing yours and for being so observant. Wonderful. So anybody else want to share with us? We have, I would love to read out, Felipe wrote as well, or Philippe. What I take away is the intention behind the guiding questions of Ben, and how to masterfully prompt resources from the client and show the client that the answer is within him. As he said, that he appreciated not only not being told on, but guided to self-discovery. Thank you. And Francis, great learning. I was blown away with the simplicity of how Ben makes this transformative methodology sing a melody that resonates with each client's personal lyrics. I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you for allowing me to take part. It was a great learning. I need to leave. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I think we're going to bring this session to a close. And is there anybody who would like to have the final call and close with their learning? Anybody else? Melinda, would you like to share as well? No? Okay, you can't turn on. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for being here. It's been such an honor. And let's have, is it all right, Ben, for you to close for us today with a final trinket you want us to pay attention to? And thank you so much for this great learning.
Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for being here with us, and it's a great honor, and it really makes great difference for us as the faculty members when students show up eager to learn. Well, my encouragement to all of you is I think I resonate a lot with Francis' statement. There is a rhythm, okay, and we need to find that rhythm. Partly because we are not doing something, we are having a conversation. And I think the most powerful conversation is not just a conversation with the heart, but with the entire being, right? With mind that is clear, with heart that is feeling, and you can kind of resonate and feel the rhythm of where the conversation is going. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right. If we don't find that rhythm, then that conversation is just a mere exchange of some intellect. And it falls short of this whole sacred space of what a conversation can offer to us as professional coach. And ultimately, what brings two souls together is via this medium of conversation that includes this powerful rhythm. And I think Magda will certainly resonate that a lot, the energy feels but think about it, when music plays, did your brain beat? Did your brain go dong, 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 dong? No, you move along, you feel it, and you just move along with that. That shows aliveness. It shows that your systems is, in the Chinese medicines, that the blood circulation is doing well. Okay, so when you're able to feel, that rhythm in that conversation, it surely shows that you are alive in that moment with the client. And I think that's where that conversation is most powerful. Not because you're masterful or whatever that is, but it is powerful because you are flowing in synchronicity with the rhythm that is available at that moment. It doesn't matter if you cannot dance as nice as anyone else, but the point is that you can feel it. And I think that's what makes it beautiful. Got it? Great. So may all of you, that's our encouragement, learn to tap into that rhythm. And of course, work hard. That is without saying, the core training that you are all going through, even those who are moving to the second level, whatever that is, work hard so that you can master the skills. Cool. Great. So as I said, thank you for hosting the event, and thank you everyone for joining us. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.